السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Just I'm gonna get started because it's at 7:30. It's 7:31. Why sound Hayata? Okay, so I think we can begin. Just waiting for people to come on. Start. Dini, I'll feed that one. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Alhamdulillahi alladhi أنزل على عبده كلامه وكتابه القرآن ويهدي الناس وهدى الناس بالفرقان وأرسل إلينا سيد الأنام وهو جوامع الكلم وجواهر الحكم صلى الله سبحانه وتعالى عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا. أما بعد، قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في القرآن الكريم: اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق، خلق الإنسان من علق. وقال الله سبحانه وتعالى في آية الأخرى: إن هذا القرآن يهدي للتي هي أقوم. صدق الله العظيم. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: ألا إن في الشعر لسحرا، أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم، ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين من الشاكرين. الحمد لله رب العالمين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu to all of you. It's nice to have this opportunity, though I don't see you, to be able to address you and speak with you. I want to begin by asking, is everyone able to hear me clearly? Because if not, then I would like to fix whatever needs to be fixed. You can go ahead and put it into the loud and clear. Okay, alhamdulillah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He created all of mankind, He created us in such a way that it would have been sufficient if He revealed the Quran as guidance to all of us, had He felt that was the best path. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not deem that to be the best path. Rather, He deemed that messengers come, and messengers come with the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the entire world, such that they're guided back to Him. They were Nadhir, they were warners, they were Bashir, They were givers of glad tidings. They were da'i. They were one who called to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He sent these messengers, He did not send an ummah except that He sent it guidance through the messenger. And so when we see these messengers came, sometimes communities like Bani Israel, they had multiple messengers. Over 40 in one day would come. Then you had some communities like Nuh alayhi salam, that it wasn't multiple messengers, but you had one messenger whose life was very long, who preached for 1,000 minus 50, as Quran mentioned, 950 years. Then you had certain communities that had multiple messengers that were well known. We know their names, like Bani Israel having Musa alayhi salam and Harun alayhi salam at one time, and Shuaib alayhi salam and Yusha alayhi salam as well. And then you have communities have father and son messengers, like Ibrahim and Ismail and Ishaq alayhim salatu wassalam. You had communities that have uh, Dawood and Sulaiman alayhim salam. That when it comes to our community, the community that's supposed to carry until the end of time all of the message, all of guidance, this community will not be given any other prophet. ما كان محمد أبا أحد من رجالكم ولكن رسول الله وفي رواية خاتم النبيين وفي رواية خاتم النبيين. That Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam was not a father to anyone biologically, because his meaning from the man mir rijalikum, because his sons passed away. ولكن رسول, but he's the messenger of Allah. وخاتم النبيين, he's the seal or the final prophet. And this final prophet, he's supposed to have a message that lasts to the end of time, but he will not live to the end of time. So then how is it that this final prophet would be able to achieve that? Well, in a narration, the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, Inna al-ulama, or al-ulama, the prophets, warathul anbiya, they are the inheritors. The scholars, excuse me, not prophets, the scholars are the inheritors of the prophets. And the Prophet mentioned that the prophets, they don't leave behind gold or silver coins. We don't leave behind dirham or dinar. We don't leave behind dinar, gold coins, or silver coins. What is there? What they leave behind? The knowledge that they leave. In this ummah, it will not survive based upon a prophet continuing to be with us. In fact, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he passed away, there will be another person who acted as a prophet before, who will come towards the end of time, Prophet Isa alayhi salam. But he will have given up his position of prophethood. He will come as a person, an ummati of the Prophet, a person who follows the ummah of the Prophet. And he will come and he will lead based upon the sharia of the Prophet, and he will lead based upon the way of the Prophet, and he will lead based upon the words, the actions, the practices, the tacit approvals of the Prophet, all which are foundationally based upon the Quran. So there will be no prophet after the Prophet. And then furthermore, those who take the positions to lead to what the Prophet taught and to the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are going to be the scholars, al-ulama. And so now we have the scholars who are supposed to carry this mantle. They're supposed to carry this this responsibility of prophethood. Now these scholars, who will they be? They change excuse me, community by community. For the earlier communities, there were great people like Imam al-Shafi'i, Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, rahimahumullah. Sufyan al-Thawri rahmatullahi alayh. For the middle communities, Ibn Hajar rahmatullahi alayh, Ibn Kathir rahmatullahi alayh. You have Ibn Taymiyyah rahmatullahi alayh. For the later middle communities, Ahmad Sirhindi rahmatullahi alayh. For the more recent communities, you have like Sheikh Abdul Fattah Abu al-Ghudda rahmatullahi alayh. You have these different scholars, and the quality of scholarship has decreased. And the reason is because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has already made it clear that with the passing of time, the quality of humanity will decrease. Nowadays, a person can study for 10 years and be considered a scholar. Whereas Imam Shafi rahmatullah alayhi studied 17 years, not deen. As an Arab, he studied 17 years just the Arabic language. So the quality of scholarship has changed. But beggars can't be choosers. So we take from the quality that's there, but we have great gratitude towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that from what we are our teachers teach us, they come from a tradition of an unbroken chain back to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or depending on the text, back to that particular scholar. And many scholars eventually published books, and those books were kept in manuscript form. They were hand copied, and eventually they were copied as we know today, published as we know today. From those great scholars and from those texts that we have, I wanted to cover these next few, I don't know what it'll be, weeks, etc. A scholar whose name is Ahmad bin Muhammad ibn Abdul Karim ibn Ata'illah al-Askandari rahmatullahi alayh. He was known as Tajuddin. What does that mean? Tajuddin, he is the crown of the religion. And he was a great scholar who lived about 700 years ago. About 700 years ago, he lived. And so, Tajuddin al-Askandari rahmatullahi alayh, Ahmad bin Muhammad, he was known for one particular book. He's known for many books. He was a student of Sheikh al-Mursi rahmatullahi alayh, who was a student of Abu al-Hasan al-Shadili rahmatullahi alayh. But one book that Imam al-Askandari rahmatullahi alayh wrote was known as Kitab al-Hikam. Now, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he mentioned there were various gifts that he was given. There are various books that he was given. From the books that he was given, from the gifts that he was given, one gift is a gift that the entire world was made what? It was made a masjid for him. One gift that he was given was that the spoils of war that occur in battle and jihad, the spoils, the riches that are gained, the previous had to set upon like a mountaintop, and then that Allah Ta'ala, if it was accepted, would send down like a fire that would consume all of it. The previous they had set places where they had to worship. But our deen, Rasulullah, for him, was the entire world was made a masjid. And then another gift that the Prophet ﷺ was given was what? Can you imagine if our deen, you had to pray in a place of worship? And what happens today where we're all sort of quarantined at home would occur? We'd be in so much trouble. And many gifts were given. In fact, this night, some of the scholars say, was the night, is the night of Isra and Mi'raj. It's debated. It's not the strongest opinion. But the 27th night, which is tonight, is supposed to be a night in which the Prophet was taken from Mecca to Makkah al-Mukarramah to Al-Aqsa, to the heavens and back. And there he was given a specific gift. And what is that? The gift of prayer. And our prayer was gifted a certain way. The ulama say, some of the they mention, Allah Ta'ala says, وَارْكَعُوا مَعَ الرَّاكِعِينَ. Perform sajda with those individuals who perform sajda. What Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala means by this is perform prayer with the Muslims because the previous did not get sajda. Sajda, not sajda, ruku. Perform ruku, perform bowing with the people who pray. That refers to the Muslims because the previous did not get bowing as we get bowing. We were gifted the last verse of Surah Al-Baqarah. And this was, and ours is the only prophet who was gifted revelation. He was given revelation in the realm of Sidratul Muntaha, being in a proximity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as He wills Himself to be. We cannot put any, He's free of zaman and makan and all these things. We're not going to put any restrictions upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so, from those gifts, one gift Rasulullah was given is Jawami al-Kalim. That he can say few words, but those words will carry mountains of meanings. One time, when we were studying in Tirmidhi class, yes, Tirmidhi class with Mufti Abdul Jabbar Sahib, Hafidhullah, we covered the hadith of Ya Aba Umair ma fa'ala al-Nughayr. Rasulullah visited the brother of Anas bin Malik radiallahu anhu. And when he visited him, he found that Anas bin Malik radiallahu anhu's brother, Abu Umair, was sitting very sad and despondent. So he asked him, and he had found out that his pet bird, he had like a sparrow that had died. So he said, Ya Aba Umair, oh Abu Umair, Ya Aba Umair, ma fa'ala al-Nughayr. Ya Aba Umair, ma fa'ala al-Nughayr. 6 words. What happened to the bird? When we studied the hadith, I remember our teacher stopped. He told the leader, the best student of our class, Maulana Imran, to leave, to go to his, I believe it was Maulana Imran or Maulana Safwan, I'm forgetting now. But it was one of the two end students, either at this end or this end. They're both from the top students in my class. They had to go to his office. On his desk was a small book. He was asked to retrieve it. He retrieved it. That book contained 200 to 300 masail, rulings of fiqh that were taken from 6 words. Ya Aba Umair ma fa'ala al-Nughayr. 6 words, 200 to 300 masail, rulings of fiqh were taken. So when we see Jawami al-Kalim, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said 6 words, and the fuqaha were able to derive, what's it called? 300 masail from it. Some of these books that you see behind me, which pretty much there for show. These books, I can pull out a book. Like, for example, I'll pull out a book, just one book. We see Ibn Hajar rahmatullahi alayh, he is commenting on the Sahih of Imam Bukhari rahmatullahi alayh. And when he's commenting on this, you will see times where the hadith will end, and then it's just explanation after explanation after explanation after explanation. Seriously, this is, if you look at this, the hadith itself is right over, I'll show it to you so you see where I'm starting from. Right here, this hadith, the first hadith. This hadith of niyat. It starts on the bottom of page 11, page 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, page 23. From page 11 to 23, 12 pages on one hadith of innamal a'malu binniyat. And not 12 like large, not 12 like large print pages, 12 very intricately, finely written pages about one hadith. And that's this book. I can pull out Mirqat al-Mafatih. It's like 20 something pages on that one hadith. Rasulullah said such few words, but when he said those words, they had so much power. They had so much power, and that's so much hidden meaning that you were able to derive days and days of reading. And so now when we see this practice, every practice of the Prophet, every characteristic of his was inherited by the companions. And from the inherited acts of the companions, then their students would learn, and then their students and their students, such that we have the deen exists today with some companions who carried out the battle prowess of the Prophet, his prowess in jihad. Yet some companions who carried out his political wisdom. Yet some companions who carried out his spiritual acumen. And then some companions were those who spoke very little, but you were able to derive a lot from what they said. You don't see volumes written by Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, but you see the voluminous work of action just based upon what he had commanded. You can take that one when he's speaking to Umar radiallahu anhu, and Umar radiallahu anhu, Abu Bakr says that, will the sunnah of my Habib be shorter than I'm alive? Such short words, but that's such a profound statement that the life of the Sahaba, all their lives, if that was the title of the book, all their lives would come under that title. It's impossible, because some of the Sahaba, they were able to carry this characteristic. Then all the Sahaba, those who are great in fiqh, like Abdullah bin Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, their way was carried out by people like Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi alayh. There are people like who were great in hadith, like Abdullah bin Umar radiallahu anhu. And their way was carried out by people like Imam al-Bukhari rahmatullahi alayh. So the ways of the Prophet was captured by the Sahaba, and then scholars picked up on those ways. So we don't have scholars of like 10 different sciences, but certain scholars picked up characteristics from their teachers back to the Prophet. So this one characteristic of speaking very little, but having great meaning. This was picked up by a scholar who I mentioned, Ahmad bin Abdul Karim Tajuddin al-Iskandari, Ibn Ata'illah al-Iskandari rahmatullahi alayh. So this great scholar wrote a book known as Kitab al-Hikam. And the Kitab al-Hikam, it was a book that many people have benefited. Why? Because in English we call them aphorisms. An aphorism is a short saying that has profound meaning. It was a book of aphorisms that spoke about just spiritual life. And then from this book of aphorisms, one of our great, not contemporaries, passed away now, but more recent scholars, Sheikh Abdullah Gangohi rahmatullahi alayh, he wrote a book called Ikmal al-Shiyam, in which they worked on categorizing these aphorisms by specific topics. And those topics, they range from tawbah, repentance, they range from ikhlas, sincerity, they range from solitude and detachment from the world, asceticism, all these topics. And so what I wanted to do today, not in an order that the book goes, nor in the order that the initial aphorisms were written, but I wanted to go over some of the one chapter today with all of you. Before I do that, I want to mention one story. Now, some of you probably won't listen after you hear the story, but it is what it is, right? So this story is written in Ad-Durr al-Jawahiriyya fi Shar al-Hikam al-Ata'iyya. You see this text over here? This is written by a man named Kamaluddin ibn al-Hammam rahmatullahi alayh. Ibn al-Hammam rahmatullahi alayh, he wrote this text, which is a commentary on Hidayah, called Fath al-Qadir. 10 volumes. Hidayah there is just not that big of a book, but So he was once passing through Egypt, and he was reciting Surah Hud to himself. And when he was reciting Surah Hud to himself, he was actually intending to visit the grave of Ibn Ata'illah al-Iskandari rahmatullahi alayh. So he's reciting, not wasting his time, reciting to himself. And as he's passing to the graveyard, he gets to Yawma Ya'ti, a day will come, La takallamu nafsun illa bi'izni, that no one will speak except by Allah's permission. فَمِنْهُمْ شَقِيٌّ, there will be wretched people that day, وَسَعِيدٌ, and from those people there will also be what? Sa'id, felicitous, good people, pious people. So when he's reciting this, all of a sudden he hears a voice, O Kamaluddin, from amongst us in this graveyard, there's no shaqi, there's no unfortunate, wretched individuals. So after experiencing this, Sheikh Allama Kamaluddin Ibn al-Humam al-Hanafi rahmatullahi alayh, what does he do? He makes the wasiyah that he is going to leave behind. He's like, you have to bury me in this graveyard. I need to be buried here. Now you're like, why did I mention this? It just shows some of the miracles of the Sheikh. And it's not a thing about miracles, but it is documented. And I gave you the citation already, so it is what it is. Now I want to get to some of what he has to say. From his chapters that Sheikh Abdullah Gangohi rahmatullah alayhi wrote, he had a chapter on solitude and detachment from the world. I know everyone is coronavirus out and no one wants to speak about it anymore, so I'm not going to speak about coronavirus. I'll speak about COVID-19 instead. And because we are in sort of the situation where we can't go out, it's forced solitude. And solitude is such a beautiful thing. Because if we look at, actually, I should keep that book with me. If we look when the Prophet ﷺ was first given revelation, when he was first given revelation, we see that the Prophet ﷺ, he mentions that حُبِّبَ إِلَيَّ خُلَى, that being alone was made beloved to him. The Prophet ﷺ used to go into the cave of Hira and he used to go seek seclusion there, and this seclusion was made beloved to him by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He received revelation in what? In seclusion. There's a lot of benefit in seclusion. And so now we sort of have forced seclusion. And some of us will take advantage of it and some of us may not. So Ibn Ata'illah al-Iskandari rahmatullah alayh, he mentions a few wisdoms about this. The first one he mentions is ما نفع القلب شيء مثل عزلة. No heart, nothing benefits the heart more than what? Uzla, being alone, spiritual retreat. يدخل بها ميدان فكرة. That type of seclusion, that the heart then goes into ميدان فكرة. That heart goes into contemplation, meditation, reflection. It's not just being alone. People do a lot of haram things alone as well. But it's when that person goes alone, and that being alone causes the individual to what? Be in a situation where now he or she is what? Caused to meditate and reflect. And today, Mona Nu'man Faisab from the ISM West community, the Imam ISM West, former Imam Masjid Huda, he had a wonderful program where he spoke, and Imam Tahir spoke from California. I was also part of the program. And one of the things that you kept hearing from all the talks was that there's benefit in this. What we're going through is not a punishment. There's benefit in this for those individuals who are able to identify what? The benefit therein. Some people are what? They're like, well, I'm praying, I'm working from home, and I'm not commuting half hour a day or an hour a day, whatever. So now I can wake up a half hour early and pray tahajjud. Some people are saying, well, I didn't really catch Jama'ah in the masjid, so I'm doing tawbah for it. But I'm trying to show my tawbah, my true nadama, my true remorse by having, Jama'ah in my family. Some people are, reading, catching up on books, catching up on prayers, making up missed prayers, etc. They're doing all these things. A solitude that's causing them to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So ما نفع القلب شيء مثل عزلة يدخل بها ميدان فكرة. That there is nothing that will benefit a heart more than spiritual retreat. That spiritual retreat which causes the heart to begin to reflect upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we don't assign proximity to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But we know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala huwa aqrabu ilayhi min hablil warid, that He's closer to us than our jugular veins. Huwa ma'akum aynama kuntum. that He's with you wherever you may be. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His ma'iyah can always be gained. And solitude is a very quick path. This is why the Prophet was not, look at Prophet Musa alayhi salam. Was he in the middle of the city when he receives revelation? No. He's traveling back to the city with his wife. And then they get lost. And so he sees a fire and he goes. So now, even that seclusion, he parts in his essence. All these Anbiya, Prophet Adam alayhi salam was given the mantle of being the leader of all, the father of all human beings, and there was no other human being around with him. So the seclusion has a power if we utilize it well. Now, what I want to mention here in particular is that he premises the idea of gaining benefit for the heart through spiritual retreat so long as what? That it causes a person to meditate. Now, even right now, we're alone, right? I'm alone. There's no one in this room with me. Like my family's elsewhere in the house, but there's no one in the room with me right here. However, there's 54 of you online with me right now that I see. So am I really alone? In many ways, I'm not. So one of the things I would mention from the Kitab al-Hikam over here is that if we're going to take, Maidan al-Fikra, we're going to take the realm of reflection, we have to begin to cut away from those things that cause us not to reflect. What I'm not saying is that we have to give up communication. I'm not saying no social media. I'm not saying no internet, etc. But our trainer, Ibrahim, Coach Ibrahim, he was even today. He and his family, they went out for a walk at seven rivers, seven bridges. Excuse me. And it's what it's a seclusion from the world. It's a type of seclusion from the world. That what happens is that he goes out with his family, and now he's just engaging himself with nature. He's engaging himself with nature. And now he's finding benefit from just observing what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has left for him. Hey, you want this? Yeah? Right there. This right there. There's 2 topies right there. You can take those, okay? Thank you. So we have to, a person could be in nature all alone. Now I want to tell you a story that one of my teachers mentioned to me. One of my teachers mentioned about one of his students who was going to study in Jordan. The student, who I had the privilege of having class with him before, he's a very good person, mashallah. He was in Jordan, and he's trying to figure out, am I going to study here? Am I not going to study here? So he met an actual Bedouin. And when he met an actual Bedouin, the Bedouin was asking him, where you're from, all these things. Finally he said, I'm in terms of ethnicity, I'm from India. He's like, oh, India. And then so he began to name him one Bollywood actor. And Anas, can you turn it back on, please? No. Please. Anasu, turn it back on. Please. Okay, one moment, guys. Of course, he does that. Well, he begins to name all these Bollywood actors one after another, after another. Do you know so and so? Do you know so and so? Do you know so and so? And he's like, I don't. He lives a very, although he's a corporate America, but he isolates himself from the world quite a bit. I mean, like just from unnecessary things. And so he asked him, how do you know all these things? So he pulls out his smartphone. He says, well, I follow this and this and this and on all the social media. So my teacher was saying this, wow, look, you have an individual who's literally a Bedouin. He's isolated from the world. And yet, because of social media, he's completely immersed in the world. And then there are those individuals who are actually physically in the world. But because of their hearts being connected to Allah or making that attempt, they're isolated from the world. So when we see this first hikmah that Ibn Ata'illah al-Iskandari mentions, we should recognize what? That we should take advantage of solitude by what? Not delving into frivolity. Let me binge on Netflix, binge on Disney Plus, binge on YouTube, binge on, I don't know what else is out there, but all those different things. Let me binge on these things. No. A person should begin to, as we spoke about earlier today, binge on Allah, binge on the Prophet, binge on the ulama, binge on all these things. And being alone has positives and negatives. If a person is able to keep their heart such that their eyes are gazing upon Allah, the spiritual eyes, upon Allah's greatness, then they'll begin to naturally not care as much about what people have to say. If you look at social media, what is out there? Today I did this, today I did that. A lot of it is just, we're going to look back in the day of judgment. I have to have a smartphone for work. So I have the smartphone. So I don't have it with me. This is my regular phone, but it's a flip phone, my smartphone. So sometimes I look at when I have to do a lot of work. I look at the hours I spent on there. It's like on the day of judgment, I have to be accountable for all this because if I'm randomly looking at different things, all those moments I have to be held accountable for, and those moments are moments of ghafla. اقترب الناس حسابهم وهم في غفلة معرضون. That the hour of death is getting closer, and the hour of hisab and the day of judgment is getting closer for us, and we are just dwindling away in ghafla of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now further, he mentions a different hikmah. Idfin wujudak fi ardil khumul. Idfin, do dafn. Bury your wujud, your existence, fi ardil khumul, in that earth of the unknown. It says here in the earth of obscurity. فما نبت مما لم يدفن لا يتم نتاجه. For whatever sprouts forth without having been first buried, flowers imperfectly. Meaning what? فما نبت مما لم يدفن. That from whatever grows. نبت مما لم يدفن. Whatever grows from that which has not been properly buried. لا يتم نتاجه. Its nitaj, its result, its result will not be perfect. If you bury a seed only partially into the ground, it will never what? Grow properly. If you're supposed to bury something, if you're burying a body, and I don't want to sound morbid, but if a person's burying a body and they only bury him like half an inch into the ground, that ground, that it might erode eventually, and then the body will be exposed. If a person is putting piping for a house and they only put it 1 foot into the ground, when someone's gardening randomly, they're going to tear into that piping. You have to bury something deep. The deeper you bury it, the more what? The more perfection and completion occurs in what? The way it functions now. So here now it's saying itfin wujudaka fi ardil khumul. Now one of the things we have to know about mankind loves to be known. We love to be known. We want everyone to know us. We want everyone to recognize. It's a natural quality. Look, I want everyone to recognize one principle. These diseases of the heart and these things that we often speak of being negative qualities, they're actually very positive. They're actually very positive. Let me explain this. To want to be known is a good quality. To want to eat a lot is a good quality. To want fine things, nice things, these are good qualities. To like beautiful things, these are good qualities. Why? Because the quality was inherited from our father and mother, Adam wa Hawa alayhim assalam. And they lived in paradise. And they existed in fine delicacies. And they interacted with fineries, etc. So that stayed with them. And we inherited that from them. The only thing we have to recognize is those qualities that we have, they're meant to be a motivation to earn it in the hereafter. So if I want something nice, I can get something nice in this world, but I have to recognize the true nice items in the hereafter. So I use that as motivation for the hereafter. If I want to be known, that's a great thing. But that wanting to be known, I should become, mashhur on the day of judgment. That's what should be pushing me, driving me. That Allah knows me. I mean, Allah knows everyone, but like He specially recognizes me as a person whom He loves, or a person whose mercy descends upon, etc. So itfan wujudak fi ardil khumul. That bury your existence, meaning what? The way people see you in this world, your worldly existence, bury it in the earth of obscurity. Now, subhanAllah, this is the time where this can happen. Because this is a time where people aren't seeing us. We're not out. We're not about, etc. In fact, I have to literally tweet or text or Facebook post or Instagram post or Snapchat, whatever the terminology is. I'm sorry, I'm not as well versed, but I have to literally do these things for people to now remember me. Because I'm out of everyone's minds. My students, they don't see me. I mean, I teach online, but except for those half-hour slots twice a week for every class, they're not seeing me. I'm sort of out of their minds. I'm in obscurity. So I have to itfin wujudaka fi ardil khumul. I have to bury myself in not wanting people to know me. And it's very beautiful. The ulama have mentioned, I heard this from a scholar in Chicago, Sheikh Amin, and I don't know if this was his own statement or he heard from someone else, that he mentioned that the dunya is like like a shadow. If you chase after it, you'll never grasp it. But the moment you turn away and you from it, it will